Here we are on 3RRR, and it's Joe here with you on Astral Glamour this Monday afternoon. And I have a special guest on the phone, all the way from, Tasmania. And a good friend of this show and RRR in general, Glenn Richards from Augie March. And we're going to talk about his upcoming gig at the Gasometer this Saturday night on the 25th and other bits and pieces. And Glenn, it's good to have you on the line, and how you doing, my friend?
Good, Joe. It's good to be with you, mate.
So you got a show coming up this Saturday at the Gasometer, and
I do apparently.
Mm-hmm. What's brought that along? Yeah.
Well, I guess I got friends there at the Gasometer who've been trying to get me to play there for a while, and I'm taking off out of the country shortly afterwards, and I thought, it'd be nice to catch up with everybody. And, we haven't done much Augie-wise since we released the record, and I certainly haven't done much solo stuff for a long time, so figured I'll, it'd be a nice get-together and earn a bit of pocket money and get them off my back.
Oh, sounds fantastic. And you're playing with Kieran, is that right? Is it just the two of you that night?
Yeah, Kieran Box and possibly Matthew Haben on saxophone as well for a few songs. I'll have to have a bit of sax and maybe even some clarinet. And he'll be his trio, the Matthew Haben transfer, will be supporting as well. They're worth a look for sure.
Oh, cool. I don't know much about them, so I reckon I'll head down a little bit early and check them out. Yeah.
Good fun.
And that sounds like an interesting setup. I'd like to see the clarinet pulled out. That'd be cool. I haven't seen that for a while. That's a good instrument.
yeah. More people should pull their clarinets out at gigs. Yeah.
So what kind of songs will we be performing on the night, Glenn? How's the set list sort of looking? Is it Augie March tunes and a few from your solo record as well? Is it a mix of both, or what have you got in store for us?
Yeah, it's a good question. I was actually going through it last night. Thought I'd get in a bit of early preparation. The way I'm sort of feeling it, and I haven't played too many with Kiernan as a sideman. I generally go out with Dan Luscombe on guitar and piano, just because he's got a good voice, and we've done a lot of work together before. But with Kiernan Box, he knows just about everything far better than I do, despite me having written the songs. So he can do just about anything. So I'm looking at a lot of the older stuff and stuff that I've been too afraid to take on in the past, mainly because I've forgotten how to play them, and working them out and realising that they weren't so hard as it turns out. So there'll be a lot of, tentative goes at ones that people have often asked for, but I haven't been obliging enough to play in the past. So, yeah, it'll be a good bunch, probably about 16 or 17 numbers, and all of my hits as well. So that'll be in the encore, I think.
That sounds really cool, Glenn. There's definitely there's definitely a lot incentive for fans of your music to come along that night and see a good show that covers a fair bit of ground from your current and back catalogue. So yeah, I find that interesting personally. So that sounds good. Yeah. And what have you been sort of currently getting up to? What have you been doing these days?
Well, I guess living in Hobart, I've got a little studio set up here, and it's kind of where a lot of the last record was made. So after I finished that, I started looking for work. I've done quite a bit of film and television in the past, and I've been lucky enough to get work sort of at points in my life where I haven't had any income from the band or anything like that. So I've kind of managed to I suppose, graft an existence out of that. And I'm currently doing a television series for the ABC, which is looking pretty good. It's a kind of an absurdist, I wouldn't say sketch comedy, more of an episodic sort of thing, and it's a bit of a break from traditional ABC comedy. It's I hope it comes together really well, and obviously I've got to do some decent music for it. But that's my 9 to 5 at the moment, and it's serious deadline stuff, so it keeps me really busy, and it's pretty challenging as well musically. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Oh, excellent. I really love the sound of that. And that leads me to this question that I have for you. And it was pretty much what I wanted to ask was there any of these kind of hobbies that that you engage in outside of music, even though with the example that you just put forward of what you're currently doing, where you are still making music, but because it's sort of taking you away from like Augie March for a little while there, and from your solo writing. So does that activity help you to reflect on that work from another perspective? Can it sort of rejuvenate, your creativity for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's double-edged sword. It certainly does that. Because I have to develop, different approaches and techniques and. What I'm doing, because the demands are often so diverse. You can go from one thing to another, the drastic ends of the musical spectrum in the space of a couple of hours, according to the demands of the producer. And, so I'm having to, I suppose, create facsimiles of styles, and if you, for instance, they might need something that sounds like it was recorded in 1920, in an old hall or something. It's not just adding a few plugins and a choice reverb. It's trying to get into the character of feel of the way he's invited, basically. So learning experiences and it's not just that, it's the recording side of things as well, learning a lot of tricks because you have to, and I can take them to, these tricks and utilise them when I'm working with Augie or doing the solo stuff. But the other side of the sword is the blade, Jesus, is the the fact that it eats up all the time that perhaps I would have been putting into writing, and it's I don't mind it so much. I mean, it means I'm making a living. It means I don't have to,
And you're also developing, I'm part of me, Glenn, but you're also developing another kind of skill set along with the ones that you already have by doing what you're currently doing. And I find that, quite interesting. And if I was doing that myself, I'd find that to be quite a stimulating exercise and something I would want at this point in time, I guess, like...
Yeah. Well, it doesn't... I mean, it's never been my bag to constantly play live and that sort of thing. That's better left for people who are really born to it, But and it means that when I do the odd show, I really enjoy it, but I don't get... it doesn't... I suppose drive me into the ground. Like the first, I guess, 15 years of Augie, we played quite a lot. And
a few tours of America and all that kind of stuff too.
That sort of thing that makes or breaks you, and I guess in certain ways you get made and you get broken at the same time. But I knew back then that it wasn't, it was never going to be the focus for me. Behind the scenes is kind of where I like to sit a lot more, and so this sort of work is kind of ideal. It's not as ultimately as rewarding as writing your own stuff, but it's it's 3/4 of the way there, and like I said, it's paying work, which can't be sniffed at by musicians.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I can understand. Is this like the first project you're working on in that field, or has there already been something that you have created and has been released thus far? Is there anything that I can actually go out and hear is what I'm trying to get to?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I guess nothing that not a lot of this stuff gets released. As every now and then, there might be a vinyl pressing for an independent soundtrack or something like that, and I have talked to some of the guys that I've worked with about that sort of thing, and it's a matter of money, and
of course,
whether there's actually whether you can get distribution, all that sort of thing. So it's not that different to just releasing an independent record. But as far as television and stuff goes, this is probably the first proper series I've done in terms of it'll actually be viewable on the ABC, and otherwise I've done a couple of web series and but a couple of feature films as well.
Are they out yet, those feature film ones?
Yeah. There's a couple by Cameron and Colin Cairns, the Cairns brothers. One called 100 Bloody Acres, which was released a few years ago, and I think they've just released Scare Campaign, which is another one I did, and then there's a couple of films from a few years back. One called Lou. Actually, that's probably it. I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
I actually can't wait to just sit down and watch these films and the upcoming ABC series as well, hopefully, and just sit down and listen to the soundtrack. I'll look forward to it. Yeah.
And then send me a scathing text.
No, I won't do that. That sounds great, man. And with Augie March, what's happening in the Augie March world at the moment? Is there any gigs sort of planned out for the remainder of this year or anything like that?
Yeah, I think we're getting back on the horse. When I mentioned earlier, I'm taking off for about a month. I get back, I think, August, September. September, we might be playing at the National Gallery. Couldn't give you a date exactly, which is a bit remiss of me, not very commercially minded, but somewhere around the 14th, 15th might be close. Anyway, you can have a look. That's part of the Degas exhibition. I think they're having a few big shows around that exhibition. So they're beautiful nights to get down. If you get sick of the band playing, you can go upstairs and look at the paintings instead. So I recommend it.
I think it's a fantastic program that the NGV have been putting on for a few years now, and I'm a big fan of it, and I definitely do head down when I can, and I do love the options that are available to you when you head down on a Friday night to watch a performance, and you can go for a little bit of a wander and check out some art and have a look at the galleries there and the exhibitions, and I really dig it. I think it's a fantastic thing that they're doing over there, and I'll definitely come down and check out the show when you guys are on.
Yeah, for sure.
And in regards to recording with Augie, is anything on the horizon?
Another good question. Something that I've had to put on the back burner a little because I've got this work. But we're always sort of talking about getting stuff together, and recently we knocked a few older ones up that were kind of hanging on the fringes of their last record, and never quite got there. And I've been listening to them and thinking, perhaps they should have got there. They might even be better than some of the tunes that made it to the record, but just wasn't really, I suppose they weren't fitting the mould at the time. So we've started on that, and I got every reason to believe by the end of this year there'll be another record in the works, but you never know what can happen.
I hope there is one. I truly do, because I'm a big fan of your latest offering, Haven's Dumb. Some of the songs on there, Glenn, just blow my mind, honestly. It's true. You just got to say it when it's true like that. Which leads me to a question that I have. As a songwriter, Glenn, as a lyricist, you're one of the most interesting and fascinating ones I've ever sort of come across, really. I just take a look at your lyrics from time to time, And I just think to myself, wow, where did he get that from? How did he do that? That kind of thing. And it makes me wonder how you developed, I suppose, that skill over time. Like, I'm sure it was in you from when you were born, but it's something you obviously, like everyone, they work on over the years and that kind of thing. But it's got me thinking that you probably just read a lot of books when you were growing up. That kind of thing, and I think that would have obviously helped to expand, your knowledge of the English language. You've got a real good command of the English language. That's what I see.
I suppose. As you can tell, I'm not exactly that great when I'm not alone with the page and having time to revise. I'm not the best speaker, but growing up in the country, I suppose I was one of those kids who did love reading, but it wasn't, I wasn't reading Shakespeare at the age of 12. I was probably reading, Pet Sematary or something like that. It was, sorry, I've got a cat coming in. Negotiate a new little kitten. He's a crazy man.
Has it got a name?
In or out? Bin.
Bin,
as in
yeah.
Bin, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
He's scavenger. We moved out of town when my brother and sister and I were really young, and so we didn't have that option to sort of hang around the streets and become delinquent. So, I was I suppose a pretty stereotypical chubby, sensitive kid, and I suppose I hid in computer games and books. Pretty ordinary story, but I suppose I responded to inherent rhythm in good sentence making, and it came as I suppose second nature, the understanding of what can work and what obviously doesn't. But that said, when I started writing songs, which was quite late, I think it was when I was just sort of finishing uni, decided that I'd try and parlay a liking for verse into this sort of what at the time was I suppose I was just beginning to play as well, or to get my head around what more complex sort of. Sorry, Joe, I'm losing it.
That's cool.
I had a Nate. There was a songwriter sort of waiting to be born, because I certainly didn't have the tenacity to move into prose or anything that would demand more of me than 1 or 2 hours sitting at a time. I started the band very, very soon afterwards, so a lot of the early stuff is hugely embarrassing to me, but it still exists out there in cassette tape form, and I'm sure somebody's whacked it on the internet as well, which is just devastating. But at the same time, it's sweet, and I see the beginnings of something. It's completely unedited. That's the difference. There's probably more feeling on show, but absolutely no quality control whatsoever. And it's the trade-off, I suppose, youth and energy and vitality for a bit of the words have always been important to me, because there's nothing that's going to keep me more interested in actually playing these tunes over and over than that. It's not going to be anything else. So I better make it interesting for myself, as opposed to that ramble that I just embarked upon.
No, and I thank you for it, because I just find it quite fascinating at times when I listen closely to the music, Glenn, and to the lyrics. It really does take my imagination somewhere else, and it makes me think about something in a different light and that kind of thing. And so I really appreciate it. We have Glenn Richards on the line here from Tasmania on on Triple R this afternoon, and he's doing a solo show at the Gasometer this Saturday night on the 25th. So, yeah, head along to that. You know, it's going to be a good night. Glenn, do you have any advice for songwriters, for people who are sort of starting out? Is there like one or two little things that maybe someone said to you years ago that, you know, that kind of advice might have made things a bit easier, or is there anything like that?
There've been a few instances where older musicians are not necessarily songwriters themselves, but experienced, you know, collaborators, and I've just said the odd nice thing that, you know, because you don't, I mean, I would say if you're going to be a front person for a band, if you're going to be out there, you know, I suppose confidence is a gigantic thing, but that also applies to every facet of it. You can't, I guess you can't let the voices tell you that it's not worth, you know, keeping on with. It's that sort of thing. You know, those voices don't go away, and they keep at you. I don't think they ever will. But it shouldn't stop you doing the hard work, because, you know, more often than not, you can silence them with that. I don't have any specific advice, because I still don't really regard myself as a muso as such, or even, it's just, you know, the word troubadour is kind of misused. I think what it really means is somebody who puts verse to music, and that's, you know, well, I don't want anybody to ever call me a troubadour, and I don't describe myself that way. It's probably the most accurate description, you know, in its literal sort of form. Troubadour is more the way I would sort of describe, if there was a better word that wasn't as wanky as that.
But I think the point that you did bring up initially there, in regards to being confident in what it is you're doing, to have a bit of conviction about your craft, it is incredibly important, and especially in the art music world, well, everything in life, but especially when you're seeing a band, or, you know, performing, you want to see that belief, that you know, that confidence, that conviction behind it all, because that it adds up, you know. For
sure. And I mean, even if it's bluster for that period of time, you know, bluster can be great. I would add, though, that, you know, it's you need, I suppose, you need to ensure that you can back the confidence up. It shouldn't be that, I suppose, confidence that's born out of nowhere. It should be. You should, you know, feel like, I suppose that the difference now, this is why I find it really difficult to offer advice to anybody doing it now, because the landscape's changed so dramatically. We did grow up in front of audiences. That's the way we kind of got our stuff around, and that's very different now. You know, you can spend that time, I suppose, promoting yourself and just getting really ready. So the first thing that you get out there is not, you know, going to be a source of embarrassment to you down the track. But oh man, I don't know what I'm saying here.
No, I hear you.
What I would say is don't listen to advice from somebody like me. Obviously. Well, I don't know. Do it your own way.
Yeah, of course.
Do it your own way. Yeah. And you know, don't try and add a hook just because it feels like, you know, that might get your song on the radio. It's just it's nonsense. If you sound like nothing else because it's solely you, you know, and it's your story, then generally, you know, you're going to find a few people who want to hop in the craft that you put together, you jerry-rigged or whatever it is.
That's what I connect to, Glenn. As you can see, you know, I listen to so many records and so many different kinds of music. Because I'm connecting to a person's story, you know, and them doing their own thing, and you can tell it's what they came up from, whatever it is that they've got within, and it's not compromised either. They haven't added something in there to hopefully try and get put onto a mainstream indie label or anything like that. You just hear that it's a proper thing that someone's gone ahead and made, and so that's what I always connect with. And I
don't think that's out of fashion or anything. I don't think it's silly, and it might be. It's just a little bit of honesty, which is why we're trading compliments here. But it's why your show's so refreshing and interesting, I suppose. It gets your heart beating a little bit, and the rare times that I hear something I haven't heard before and I get that, I suppose, a sense of something relatable. I'm reminded of why it's a good thing. What I'm doing and what we're doing in the music scene.
Absolutely. We just heard after the crack up from Augie March's Havens Dumb, and you can get out there and get a copy, as well as vinyl editions of their first 3 albums, Sunset Studies, Strange Bird and Moo You Bloody Choir, which is just a fantastic thing to see. And we have Glenn Richards on the line now from Tasmania. And Glenn, great to see that the first 3 albums have been reissued on vinyl. And and so thanks for doing that. And how do you feel about it?
Yeah, look, always a good thing. It was something we wanted to do years and years ago, and when we were still with a label, and I think we put it to them, and it was deemed, perhaps too expensive, and the demand was probably not there, and I think in the last 10 years or so that's sort of been proven otherwise. So, it's good, better late than never. And, they look a treat, of course, because the artwork is all really beautiful on our records. Yeah. And, we put a lot of effort into the, getting it all, I guess, that experience of getting a record when you're a kid and opening up and having all of that there in such a large format. That's been missing for too long.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's a wonderful activity that you can just engage in. It really is. It's a hands-on thing, and when you play it, it fills out the room, and you can do other things whilst you're listening to the recording. It's just a good activity. Glenn, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for taking out the time to chat to us here at Triple R this afternoon, man.
Well, thanks for having me, Joe. I don't get to speak to too many people these days, so I hope I managed to string a couple of sentences together that you can understand.
No,
it's
you did,
a treat.
Mate. It was great. It was really good. I look forward to this Saturday night, and I'll see you there, eh?
Cheers, mate.